The way that a company, a corporation will behave in that environment is like any other, right? That they're meant to maximize profit for their shareholders. So, there's a disconnection from the well-being and livelihood of local people. And again, a focus on the extraction of wealth for external interests. In the modern context, this is very much shareholders in the Northwest Company.
There are so many great titles in this festival, and Reckoning with the Wendigo is absolutely one of them. I mean, $15 for a jug of juice is absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that was the part where I was literally yelling at my computer. These price hikes that are targeted at these indigenous communities are nothing short of warfare, using food in a classist warfare to threaten the stability of a specific population that was here first and that has thrived in the past and is now struggling due to these capitalist issues. I think that at the center of this, however, they will be victorious because their priorities are in the right place. Their priorities are in family, community, and in the land itself. These are not easy things to rectify, but these are not people who give up easily, and that is made abundantly clear here.
Reckoning with Wendigo. I really, really loved this. I loved the idea of taking something that you kind of have heard as from the time that you were a child as like, a legend or like a scary story or, the kind of like the campfire monster story that we all kind of get told or, things like that. And recognizing similar traits and similar behaviors as you're an adult and being able to relate it back, I think is something that's so interesting and wonderful. Um, and the way that these people in, a slightly, I won't say remote, but a harder place to get to for sure, northern Canada climate, but the way that these companies are able to just kind of set and move the prices at their whim, I think is insane and crazy. And these people obviously, like, they're not going to want to move. They're not going to want to leave their land, leave their homes, and even beyond that, it's very expensive to move. And if the all of these things that they've kind of had to face and try and fight through already, I think it's amazing that they're still trying to stay connected to their roots, stay connected to their community, figure out other ways, try to, help provide for the community as well with like the farmers markets and things like that, of trying to do what they can or figure out a different way, and that they're committed to trying to make it better for the next generation while still remembering their roots and their ancestors. And the kind of marriage of those two things together, I think, is so powerful but so beautiful, and it takes such commitment to remain, like I said, vigilant and remain kind of on the front foot of trying to be better, find better, strive forward, while at the same time remaining kind of rooted in your past and in, the teachings and making sure that those things don't get lost in the generations. And I think that that's such a beautiful kind of dichotomy, and it's a fantastic thing that they're trying to kind of instill for their community moving forward.
Beginning with the Wendigo. So it shows how consumerism has actively kept this community under its thumb by overpricing groceries and making vegetables and healthy food very difficult to purchase on the average salary of someone that lives within this reservation community. And looking at some of the prices that were available at North End, it was astronomical in comparison to other stores. And I mean, I think groceries are expensive here in LA, but that was ridiculous. It's also a look into living on a reservation in this Moose Creek territory and showing how their education systems, socioeconomic systems all have contributed into trying to remove the history in the community by focusing on assimilation, and teaching that there's a shame with these old ways, these old traditional ways. And over the course of the doc, you can see this community going back to their past traditions, finding their own food, growing their food, utilizing local farmers markets, hunting foxes, getting back to this traditional way, celebrating through music and focusing on their culture. So it has a great balance. It shows you the issue, but it also shows you the resolutions. It makes you leave it feeling hopeful, as opposed to just feeling like, oh, how horrible what these people are going through and what's going to happen next. But I did feel a sense of like hope.
Reckoning with the Wendigo really dives into this aspect of what is a Wendigo. It's a greedy person who ends up becoming a dark spirit themselves. And so as we uncover and unearth more into this documentary, we find that this really dives into the concept of the 7 deadly sins, more specifically our relationship with greed. And with greed there comes gluttonous and hunger and all of these different entities and stories that come within falling into your darkness, choosing these aspects of what happens out of survival. I think you get to have a nice little vast of different stories and experiences of what really is happening in a systemic way, in a systemic issue, and how people are taking the time to react and resonate with their experiences as they're living through them in real time. And so we get to have this almost ancient connection to how this has come part of humanity in its core. It's a core issue. It's something that comes up time and time again. And so you get to hear these different aspects of entities of where this sense of greed was developed and how strong it has become and how the cycle continues over and over again.
Reckoning from the Wendigo was a great watch. At a first glance, this looks like any other film, but on a closer look, it turns the expectations on their head and creates an engaging short documentary that leaves a great message. The documentary itself was visually stunning, and the darker color palette over the story really creates a sense of mystery and tension with what the story tries to evoke. So great job.